I'm Anil Kumar. Let me thank all my subscribers and viewers for posting excellent questions, writing comments, and sharing their views. This set of questions is from one of my subscribers who is doing pre-university math. Here we call it functions, and it's a very important concept which I'm going to discuss, which students of pre-calculus and grade 12 maths will be using. We'll have two questions, both multiple choice questions. The questions are, which of the following statement is true for the odd function f of x? So we are given a function which is odd function, and five choices are there. Minus of f of minus x is symmetric with respect to the y-axis. F of x minus f of minus x is even. F of x plus f of minus x is odd. F squared x is symmetric with respect to the origin, and 2 times f of minus x is symmetric with respect to x-axis. The second question, based on the same concept, is kind of like this, which says, which of the following statements is false? The graph of an odd function is symmetric with respect to the origin. So here, remember, we're talking about which of the following statement is false, right? Is false. So most of them are correct. Only one is false. The statements are, the graph of an odd function is symmetric with respect to the origin. That is correct. The graph of an even function is symmetric with respect to y-axis. That is also correct. So that is basic of defining odd and even functions, right? Now I'll not tell you which one of these three is not correct. If a and b is on the graph of an even function, then so is minus a, b. The graph of non-zero function can be symmetric with respect to the x-axis and is. If ab is on the graph of the odd function, then so is minus a minus b. Now I'll take this opportunity to also explain you what are even and odd functions, right? And then we'll answer both the questions. So let us discuss what is an even function and what is an odd function. With the help of a graph, it is kind of simpler to visualize. Even really means that it is symmetric about the y-axis. So something like a parabola, which you do x squared, that is a good example. And for an odd function, it is symmetric about the origin. So that is how these functions may look like. So basically, if we are talking about even function, then it has few properties. Let me write down those properties here. That means f of minus x is equal to f of x. So if I have a value here minus x, then you see we have same value there. So that distance is equal and it is symmetric about the y-axis. On the other hand, if f of minus x is equal to negative of f of x, we say that it's an odd function, correct? I can give you many examples of even and odd functions. For example, a function like y equals to x to the power of 4 plus 2x squared minus 1 will be an even function. All powers are even in this particular case. Odd function example could be y equals to x to the power of 5 minus x to the power of 3 plus all odd powers. Do you see that? 2x. That will be an odd function. If you substitute minus x, then you'll get minus of f of x. Here, if you substitute minus x for x, you will get the same function. Okay, so I hope that is clear, and now it should be easy for you to answer the question. So this is symmetric about the y-axis, and this is symmetric about a point. When we say symmetric about a point, we really mean that like this, right? So if I have a point here a and b, Then corresponding to this point, I do have a point here which is minus a minus b. Is it okay? So somewhere it is written like this, so that is okay. Here, if I have a point which is a and b, then corresponding to this we have minus ab, so that also works, which is somewhere here. So this was for even, this is for odd. Okay. Those two are by definitions, as you have seen, so those are definitions. We are left with one statement which is absolutely wrong, right? It is wrong in all respects. It says the graph of non-zero function can be symmetric with respect to x-axis. Now, what does that mean? So if it is symmetric with x-axis, it means something like this, right? This is symmetric with respect to x-axis, but you see it fails the vertical line test. It is not even a function. Do you see that? So this statement is totally false and all others are absolutely correct. So I hope that helps you to understand, one, the concept about even and odd functions. Second, about function itself. If you fail vertical line test, it is not a function, and no function can be symmetric about the x-axis. Keep it in your mind, right? So now let's take the second question and discuss that. The second question on even and odd functions is, which of the following statements is true? So this time we're looking for a true statement. That means most of them are false, right? Which of the following statement is true for the odd function f of x? So we are given odd function. Remember that. We are given odd function. That means what? That means f of minus x is equals to minus of f of x. That means this. And it also means it is symmetric about origin. Right? So that is important to understand. Symmetric about origin. Now, with that in mind, let's read all this. A, minus of f of minus x is symmetric with respect to y-axis. Now you have to figure out what is minus of f of minus x equals to. We're trying to answer A and understand A. We know f of minus x is minus x, so I could write this as minus of f of minus x is minus f of x. Is it okay? So that gives you minus minus is plus, so we get f of x. Do you see that? Now, what is f of x? We know f of x is odd. So we are given that odd function f of x. Is that okay? So this is odd function. So this is symmetric with respect to y-axis? No, we were expecting even for that. So that is not true, correct? Statement B is f of x minus, let me rewrite, f of x minus f of minus x is even. Let us check. So what do we get? We get f of x, and what is f of minus x, right? So let's write down that. So we have minus, and f of minus x we know is minus of f of x, just as we did earlier. And when you combine, what do you get? You get f of x plus f of x, which is twice हेलो रुपये सब बढ़िया तू बता बेटे नहीं बेटा उसको कल ही ठीक हो गया था कुछ नहीं हुआ उसके हाँ बेटे कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम नहीं मस्त है नहीं नहीं हम तो कॉस को घुमाया मैं आना क्या छोड़ दिया उसे लाइब्रेरी छोड़ दिया है हाँ सही है ठीक है ना चल बेटे ओके बेटे बाय बाय So what we get here is twice f of x, not 2 times f of x. And what is f of x? We know f of x is odd. This is odd, right? It is given. So it is not even. Do you see that? It is not even. It is odd. Remember, we are given that f of x is odd. Remember that. Now, part C. Part C is we want to now find f of x plus f of minus x. And if I do that, same strategy. I'm just keeping plus here. And within this bracket, I get minus of f of x. That is because this is odd function, right? From here, I get that value. Now, what is this? This is f of x minus f of x, and that gives me 0. Now, we want to check if 0 is odd or not. Now, if I have this function, what is 0 equals to? Now, 0 is both odd and even. You should remember this. 0 is both odd and even. It is both odd and even. It's symmetric about point, symmetric about y-axis, everything, right? So this statement is actually true. You get the idea, right? Now, if you look into the last one is symmetric about with respect to x-axis, as we saw, that is never possible. And here, square is symmetric with respect to origin. No, this is going to be even, right? If you square, it'll be even. So the correct option is option C, that it becomes 0, and 0 actually is very important function you should remember here. So let me make a note. You can also say that y equals to 0 is both even and odd function. Do you see that? Both even and odd function. Now, if I say y equals to 0, it means what? It means the horizontal axis. Do you see that? As you can see, the horizontal axis is symmetric about the origin as well as the y-axis. Do you get an idea? So that is extremely important to understand. So I hope you find this video very interesting and useful. It is one of the most important questions on even and odd functions. Let me thank once again my subscriber for posting this question along with many others, which I'm going to take up soon. Thanks for watching and all the best.